Are you a procrastinator? When it comes to doing your laundry, maybe that's not such a big deal, but when it comes to retirement planning, there can be some really big impacts that will affect you down the line, especially as you move through retirement. And so in today's video, I want to talk to you about some of those costs and what you can do to get on the right track. So first, I'd like to talk about the costs of procrastination. First cost is missing out on compound interest. And you may have heard the quote from Albert Einstein that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. And so the earlier you get started, the more you can allow the power of compound interest to work in your favor. So to illustrate the power of compound interest, we can look at two different people. One person starts investing at age 40 and the other starts investing at age 50. Now, the person who starts at age 40, let's assume that they invest $10,000 a year at 7% interest per year in a diversified stock portfolio, and they do that for 25 years till age 65, which is typical retirement age for a lot of people. So at the end of 25 years, having invested $10,000 a year at 7%, they will have approximately $656,227 saved at that time. Now, let's say you start at age 50, and if you wanted to have that same $656,000 saved, how much do you think that you would need to have saved? The answer is quite a bit more. Only investing over a 15-year period, this person would have to have invested in the neighborhood of $26,000 per year. So person one was able to invest $10,000 per year for 25 years. Person two, starting at age 50 and only for 15 years, has to invest about $26,000 per year to get to that same total of $656,000 by age 65. So just by starting earlier, you're giving the power of compound interest the ability to work on your behalf. Another cost of procrastination is just increased stress. So when you're putting things off and you know kind of beneath the surface that you're not taking care of the things that you need to take care of, it really adds a lot of stress to your life, makes it harder to sleep at night, and just overall reduces the quality of your life. So obviously, quantitatively, there are really good reasons to get started with financial planning and retirement planning now, but also on a qualitative basis, starting later is just going to add a lot of undue stress to your life, and therefore is a really big cost associated with procrastination in retirement planning. So moving on from the costs of procrastination, I want to look at some of the more positive factors and things that you should be thinking about when it comes to getting started on your retirement planning journey. The first thing is you'll want to decide when you want to retire. Knowing when you want to retire is going to have a big effect on the strategies that you need to take in order to get to your ultimate desired retirement date. Specifically with regards to an early retirement, this is going to take a lot of additional planning because there's going to be a period where you'll have to take care of your own healthcare costs. You'll have to start withdrawing earlier from retirement accounts. You're not going to have the benefit of Social Security having a chance to really accrue during your later working years. So specifically, if you're looking to retire early, say before 65, in that 60 to 62 range, so if you're planning to retire early, you'll really want to get started as soon as possible with retirement planning to make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row. Now, depending on your age and when you are planning to retire, it's going to have a big effect on your investment strategy. So if you're in your early career, say 35, and you're not planning to retire for another 30 years, in general, that's going to lend itself to a much more aggressive risk tolerance with regard to your investments. You've got a long time to go. You're not going to be touching your retirement accounts for another 30 years. So downturns in the market aren't going to affect you quite as much as, say, someone who is 55 now and they want to retire in 10 years. That person's going to need to take a more moderate approach with their investments, not take on quite as much risk as a younger investor would. So depending on your age if you're getting closer to retirement, you'll really want to take a look at what you're doing from an investment standpoint to make sure that you're not subjecting yourself to too much risk, but at the same time, not being too conservative to where your assets aren't going to be growing and setting yourself up to, not even be able to outpace inflation. Really want to kind of finesse that and get your portfolio invested in such a way that you're going to get really good growth, but without taking on too much risk. And now, during your working years, you get accustomed to having a paycheck. Say, every single month, you're going to have $12,000 a month come in, and you know exactly what that number is going to be, whatever it is for you, and it's really easy to budget around that. But once you get to retirement, your paycheck may not be as predictable. So, one potential source of income is a pension. Now, most of you are not going to have a pension when you retire. Pensions have kind of gone by the wayside. But if you do, great. But that's probably not going to be the case for most of you. Another big source of income in retirement is Social Security. And there are ways that you can make sure that you're maximizing your Social Security. And we will have other videos on that topic. But you want to make sure that you're optimizing your Social Security, specifically making sure you're getting the most as far as monthly payment, but also making sure that you're setting up your Social Security in such a way that you're going to minimize your tax consequence. Then finally, for the vast majority of people, the largest part of your income when you get to retirement is going to be withdrawals from your retirement accounts. So let's say you retire, you've got $1 million in your 401k or IRA or Roths, whatever the case, you're going to have to withdraw from those accounts on a monthly basis to supplement your income, assuming Social Security and or pensions aren't enough to meet your monthly expenses. So you want to map out a withdrawal rate on your investments that is going to be sustainable for 20, 30 plus years into retirement, while also taking into account healthcare costs, potential long-term care costs, and other unexpected expenses that might arise. Some people choose to reposition a portion of their retirement accounts into something like an annuity to provide additional retirement income that's guaranteed. An annuity basically can serve kind of like a private pension. If you don't have a pension, repositioning a portion of your retirement assets into an annuity can provide some guaranteed lifetime income. So that's another potential option for you as far as generating an income that is more reminiscent of what you became accustomed to while you were working. You'll also want to pay special attention to tax planning prior to retirement. One common way to do this is through strategic Roth conversions. And what a Roth conversion is it's taking money from your traditional IRA or your pre-tax accounts like a 401k and paying taxes on it now, converting it over to a Roth IRA where it's going to grow tax-free. And what that ultimately does for you is it's going to diversify your tax profile so that you don't have all of your money in a tax-deferred account. You can have a portion in a tax-deferred and a portion in a tax-free account. And what that's going to do from a tax standpoint is help you manage your tax brackets more efficiently as you move through retirement. And on the topic of retirement accounts, you want to make sure that in those years leading up to your retirement, not only are you looking at the viability of Roth conversions, you can even look at contributing to Roth IRAs. You'll obviously want to contribute to your 401k at least up to the match that your employer provides. But outside of that, you might also want to consider investing into taxable accounts. A taxable account is neither tax deferred nor tax free. It's a taxable account, it's its own category. It's often thought of as just kind of your typical brokerage accounts. There aren't immediate tax benefits for putting money there, but what it's going to do is give you, again, what we talked about earlier, additional tax diversification. What you can potentially do is during years where you're trying to manage your taxes efficiently in retirement, you can withdraw from those taxable accounts for income purposes and delay having to withdraw from your 401ks or IRAs or Roth IRAs. So again, contributing to 401ks, at least up to your employer match or more, potentially looking at conversions into Roth, also contributing something into a taxable account for broader tax diversification. And finally, the last thing that you're going to want to do is set your retirement goals and have an idea of how much you want to spend on certain things throughout retirement. Retirement is a time for you to enjoy yourself. You don't want to be pinching pennies throughout retirement unless you absolutely have to. Also don't want to live frivolously and have that uncertainty in your mind of, can I afford this? Can I afford that? So what you're going to want to do is plan for certain goals. And so when we're working with our clients, one of the things that we'll do is ask them, okay, how much travel do you want to do in retirement? Some people, they say, I just want to travel, sparingly, maybe take a road trip and go camping. And so they have pretty modest travel goals in retirement. Now there are other people who want to, be jet setters, go on cruises, every few months and do international travel. And those people want to budget out $25,000 a year for travel. So it really just varies on your situation, but through a retirement planning process, you can map this out and say, okay, can we afford, or how much can we afford to budget out for travel on top of all of our other expenses like just day-to-day utilities and whatnot. Other expenses that you might want to plan for include home renovations, other big purchases like cars throughout retirement, or possibly gifting money to children or grandchildren if gifting is something that you want to do as a part of your broader retirement strategies. So that's another thing that you should be looking at, is just having these goals in mind as far as how much you want to earmark for certain expenses throughout retirement, just so that you can make sure that everything can be done and you kind of know what your limits are. It's going to give you a lot of certainty, and kind of going back to what we talked about at the beginning of the video, as far as just having that mental and emotional clarity, just knowing what kind of lifestyle that you can live is going to help you live a much more stress-free life. So to recap, when it comes to retirement planning, there are a lot of costs of procrastination, and you'll want to get started now rather than later. From compound interest to investments to taxes, you'll want to get started now so that you've got a lot more clarity and ultimately can live a much more stress-free and enjoyable life, both now and in the future. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you'd like to meet with us here at Haywood Wealth, we'd be happy to talk with you about your retirement planning strategy. There will also be a link in the description to schedule a meeting with us. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe so that you can see all of our future videos related to retirement planning. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.